afternoon. Welcome to my channel. This is Gigi with Unwind with Gigi. Today I just want to say hello and I want to introduce you to my lovely granddaughter Maria. She's going to be online while I am cooking today. We get inspirations from each other. And she's my oldest granddaughter. And in the background you'll hear my two lovely great-grandchildren. And this is Lily. And she's in the refrigerator. Can you say hi, Lily? Say hi. Say hello, everyone. And then I also have my beautiful little baby granddaughter, Isabel. And she's looking like, okay, what you guys doing? I just want to taste it. Hi, Isabel. And today, our menu, as I promised you, I'm going to make oven-fried pork chops. And along with the oven-fried pork chops, I'm going to make cabbage, and we're going to make roasted red potatoes with a cream sauce, which I'm using my sour cream and cheese to make the oven roasted potato. So come on in, let's get started. We're starting with my pork chops, and I've already started to marinate the pork chops. And I marinated them with pepper, roasted garlic, and a lot of times I use garlic salt. And of course, I always use my Larry's. Don't do anything without my Larry's and regular garlic. So I already have my pork chops in. And I've had these for about an hour. They've been marinated. So now what I'm going to do, and like I said, this is oven-fried pork chops. Just as you would have it on the stove, you would have oil in your pan to fry them. We're actually frying them while they're cooking. So today, I'm using some grease, and I really like to use bacon grease. So it gives it a lot flavor. If you don't want bacon grease and you want to use olive oil, you certainly can use olive oil. So right now, we're just putting a little bit in the pan. And what we're going to do, and I've already got flour here. And just to tell you a little tidbit about the flour, and Maria can tell you that I've taught them and her mother the same thing. When you season your meat has a good seasoning on it, but when you put it into flour, plain flour, it loses its seasoning. So what I do is take some of the same seasoning, and I always like to make my season blend. That way you get an equal amount of seasoning. Instead of putting pepper, then salt, then whatever, I have an equal amount of seasoning. And what I'm going to do is just to take a little bit of it and actually put into my flour, about 2 teaspoons. And just kind of shake this up, because this way that your meat still safe, we have a good seasoning on it. So we're going to start with the pork chops. So I'm going to put them down into my flour. And once I get them in my flour, I'm going to take them and I'm going to shake it up. And then what we want to do is get a good coating, but at the same time, you don't want a real thick coating, because we're going to go through a couple of steps here. So since I've already got it floured real good, we're going to start to take it out. So when we take it out, we got our pan that we already have some oil in it. And like I said again, I like using bacon grease. As you guys know, you can always use olive oil. You can use just a little bit of oil. You can use fresh oil. And what I'm doing now is just laying them down in the pan. I'm not really arranging them at the moment because I want to get them all in the pan. And once we get them in the pan, this is when we're going to turn this into getting ready to make the oven-fried pork chops. And as you see, I've got just a small amount of flour coating on them. So now what we're going to do, as you can see, we have them all in here. Do you see that, Maria?
I do.
Yeah. So we.
I'm trying to write it down as you go. It looks so good.
Oh my goodness. Well, when we're home and the family's together, we always do a lot of cooking. We like to cook with each other. Thanksgiving, all holidays, we all get in the kitchen and we just have a good time. That's a tradition. I did it with my mother, and my daughter was there with my mother and my grandmother. And now I'm passing it on down to my great-granddaughters as well as my granddaughter. So you want to saturate. Yes, baby?
You're my
they help.
So it's hurt us.
But they do help a little bit. They help me a little bit. So, and my daughter found out recently that she it's like, so she has to have gluten-free meals. So what we're doing is working on everything that I cooked that we used before, and they had a lot of gluten in it. We're going to learn to do these same recipes without the gluten, so she don't miss out, because a lot of times she sits and looks sad because she can't eat some of the things that we have. But we're getting there. So now what I'm doing is I'm just taking a little bit of that flour. Now that I have them coated with oil, I'm going to take a little bit of flour, and I'm just putting it on one side and shaking it loose a little bit, and then we're going to turn them over and put just a little bit of flour on the other side. What this is doing is actually going to give it that coating where you have that hard fry on it, and it looks just like you fried it in a frying pan with grease. And most of the grease go to the bottom once we do this, so that's what makes it good. So I'm going to wash our hands now and kind of straighten up the pan a little bit. Me being a caterer, I know it doesn't matter that I'm actually cooking, but I just like for my pans to look appetizing. And Maria can tell you about that, with us setting the table and have everything going. And just like Lily's 3 years old, but we've already taught her how to start setting the table and which place setting goes where. So now what we're doing, we're going to put it in the oven. This is going to take about 45 minutes maybe. So right now, we're simply putting it in the oven, and we're going to let that start to cook. So now that we have that out the way, we're going to start on the potatoes, because the potatoes take a little bit longer than the rest of the things. So here we go. So I already have some red potatoes that I've cut up. And you know, Mario, you can use fingerlings as well. So we're going to take our boiler, and we're going to put them on. And that's going to be for our cabbage. So now what I'm going to do is take the potatoes and put them into a cast iron skillet, which I can actually put in the oven. We're going to add about a tablespoon of yellow onions. I cook with a lot of onions and a lot of garlic. Garlic is good for you. Onions won't hurt you. So we're going to put those two in. Then I'm going to take another tablespoon and put maybe a half a tablespoon of garlic in there. So once we have all of this in here, what we're going to do is take our flavoring that's already together, our seasoning, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on top. And we're going to use the rest of it. So it'll be about 2.5 teaspoons of seasoning. So now what we're going to do is take our sour cream. You can use sour cream, cream cheese. Sour cream just have a silkier blend to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our sour cream in. And this is probably about a good 2 tablespoons. But since this is the last of it, it's going to be about 2 tablespoons maybe and a fourth. So now that we put all our sour cream in, I want to start to mix the sour cream first to just kind of get it coated all over the potatoes. And we just stir it around. And once we get it all stirred around, coat the potatoes really, really well with it. And just get it on all the potatoes. The onions, the garlic, everything that's already mixed in. And then we're going to take our cheese and we're going to sprinkle the cheese right on top. One of my big taste testers is my son-in-law, my grandson-in-law, Maria's husband. Anything I make, he eats it if grandma make it. So I always love it when he's around because he's going to make me feel good about it when the rest of my family. So I don't really want to try that, but they're getting a little better.
Well, you're not as picky anymore.
No. My granddaughter had to get grown and get her own family to learn that sometimes you have to eat things that you don't necessarily want to eat. Isn't that right, baby girl? So now, just kind of wipe this off a little bit. And as you can see, the potatoes, it's creamy, there's the cheese and everything right in there. Did you see that, Mike?
That looks so good.
So now, what we're going to do is put it in. Biggest thing is the potatoes will cook rather fast. And what we're going to do is just mix it in. Once we put it in, we're going to go ahead and put it in our stove. We're going to put it right in the oven and just let it start to cook along with the pork chops. So by the time the pork chops are done, you will have your potatoes as well. So now what we're going to do is get ready to cook our cabbage. And what I'm doing is I just had a little warm water in here because I like to warm up my pan a little bit. We're going to put this on the stove. And I'm going to take a little bit of thickened bacon grease instead of the more liquid bacon grease. And I'm going to add it just to my pan. Because what we're doing is we're going to kind of fry the bacon up and just a little bit of extra oil along with the bacon. The bacon will give off a little bit of oil, but not as much when you're frying it when it's chopped. And all I did was use really thick pieces of bacon to chop up. I've got a red onion and we have a yellow onion, and as you can see, I've already cut my cabbage up, so it's ready to go. And as we're putting this in, and I got it on pretty much of a high heat because I want it to start. Remember, as I've said before, when you're using a cast iron skillet, be careful because cast iron heats up. It heats up a lot more than your regular pans. So what you want to do is get it to a temperature and kind of cut it down a little bit so you don't burn. As I've always said, I put my garlic in very at the last minute because garlic will burn. Same as butter. If you put butter in, butter burns as well. So now what I'm going to do is just take my bacon, and I use maybe about 6 strips of bacon, but because it's thick, it looks like I used a lot more bacon. So we're going to let that start to cook. And once that starts to cook a little bit, we're going to add our red onion or purple onion, and we're going to also add our yellow onion in it as well. And then right at the end, we'll add our garlic. So we're just going to put it in. I'm just kind of checking on the pork chops a little bit. And then after we get them in good, in a little while, we'll just start to move them around. You can put them on a higher heat. By putting them on a higher heat, they just cook very, very well. If you want them to get good and a good scald on them, as my grandmother used to say, you want to get a really good scald on them. Yes, baby.
I'm telling you, you're talking through this meal, and Isabella's over here drooling.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to make it for my little princess when I come down. Lily and I are going to make our favorite ice cream sundae cookie, where we're going to put the cookies together, and we take 2 cookies, chocolate chip cookies. That's her favorite. We put ice cream in the middle, and then my great-granddaughter, she takes it and she decorates it how she wants it. And that's our little dessert that we have together. And the little one, she's 3 months old, but we already got her started. So she's going to be right in with us. As you can see, I'm kind of letting my bacon fry up a little bit first. And I want it to kind of get good and kind of a crunchy to it and cooked a little bit down before I put it in there. I don't like soggy bacon. Nobody in our house really eats soggy bacon. We all like very crispy bacon. So we're just going to let that cook a minute. So what are you doing today? What is your menu for today, this afternoon, baby?
As you can hear Lily in the background, she's not a big fan of our menu. We're having cheeseburger mac. It is cauliflower and rice.
Ooh, good.
Right? And we just browned up some ground beef. She says it's icky. I don't know how she can tell the difference between the cauliflower and the noodles.
Oh, she's a smart little girl.
She is. Don't worry. I'm going to keep trying though. I'm trying to get her into more vegetables. She's a snacker, so that's the problem.
Yeah.
She snacks all day and won't touch a meal. Yep.
But she will. She'll get there. And Isabel, as I always tell her, every time I talk to you, I know she's starving, so she's ready to be a snacker as well.
You always, I'm telling you, I do feed this girl.
But as soon as she gets on and she sees her Gigi, she's like, "You're starving me, Gigi. They're starving me. Isn't that right, Punky Punky? Yes, that's right. Yeah, you starving. Gigi know it. Yes, she know it. You starving. See, she trying to tell me she's hungry already."
Oh boy, I think she's so used to her feeding time coinciding with your phone call, because she gets extra excited when she hears your voice.
And I can't wait to get back to see both of them. I haven't seen you guys since, Thanksgiving? Because I did get to come for Christmas. But when I do, we're going to have a Christmas all over again. So, I can't wait. So, we're going to check on now. We're going to check to see what our bacon is doing. Oh, man. As you can hear it just frying up really good. I wanted to get just a little browner before we add everything in it, because your cabbage is going to take maybe 10 minutes. So, what are you doing with your chili of the rest of your meal?
Honestly, not too much. She's being a little picky, so most likely I'll try and convince her to finish her food. If not, no worries. She'll always be good with the orange and a cup of milk, and then she'll tell me she's full.
Oh yeah, and then she likes her chocolate milk. Her and her cousin Bryson are the two chocolate milk little monsters in the family. So,
That's for sure.
yeah, so both of them are just alike. Yes, so now what we're doing, Maude, I'm going to go ahead and add the onions, like we usually do once we get the bacon fried up. And I actually got this little tidbit from my granddaughter, because she told me, "Grandma, stop using just the grease, start to put some of the actually bacon in and get the thick bacon." So she's the one that actually started me on using the thicker bacon. So now I'm just going to put in my onions. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm excited that I get to cook for my granddaughter. We talk on the phone every day, but to actually have her along in the kitchen with me, it's just a treat for me today. So now what we did, we've got everything in. I haven't put any seasoning in, so I'm going to try to let that cook around a little bit. And I'm actually not going to season it until we get the cabbage in, and then I'll start to season it once the cabbage is in. So now I'll let the onions kind of cook down a little bit. In the meantime, I'm just going to check on the pork chops a little and just see what's happening with them. And in a few minutes, like I told you, they'll start cooking. And what we'll do is actually turn on the broiler just to get that deep, deep brown for just a few minutes. And that's right before serving. We normally just turn on the broiler. I try to keep my lid on my pot because it keeps in the heat and it cooks a little faster. So like I said, the cabbage is already done. I like to do my cabbage so it has time to drain where you don't have a lot of water in it. I add a little bit of water just if I need to, but I try not to add too much water to it and it's not soupy. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of put things away.
Hey, Grandma, I have a question.
Yes, baby.
So when I make my cabbage, normally it's a hit or miss. Once I'll make it and it's fantastic, and the other times I
more salt and pepper, more seasoning. Because the bacon, you know, you can use like maple bacon, hickory smoked bacon or whatever, but the bacon is only going to have so much seasoning. So, and if you put onions and all in it, onions don't have any real flavoring, seasoning to it. So that kind of takes away from the bacon as well. So this is what we're going to do is go ahead now and just cook this up. And like I said, this is the reason that Maria, I don't put, and I don't know if you remember, but the last time we cooked, I actually cooked cabbage down in your mom's house. Your mom was asking me, was I putting salt and pepper in? But I like to wait until I get the cabbage in and get it kind of soft. And once I get it a little soft and it gets to cooking, that's when I like to put my flavoring in, or my seasoning I should say in, because at that time it absorbs the seasoning better than it does if it's hard. Because what happens when it's just hard cabbage like this, it's just going to bounce off. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start adding our cabbage. And you know me, I cut my cabbage up real thin. Your grandmama, I don't know whether you remember when your great grandmother, you were very small, but she kind of put hers in quarters. I don't like my cabbage in quarters. I just kind of like it where it's really, you know, really thin and really small. So what I'm going to do now is just get about a cup of liquid. And what I like to do is kind of eyeball my the amount of liquid that I put in. So I'm going to put this back on just to cook like this for a minute. No seasoning yet, no liquid. And just see how it cooks up. That way, if I need to pour maybe a fourth of a cup of water in it, I'll do to soften it up. But if you can always add water, but if you put too much water, it takes a lot to get the water out. And the last thing I want to do is see, I finally got me one like your mom from my little salt cellar. And I love it. I think I'm going to buy another one to make up my seasoning and just keep the seasoning at all time. So we're going to let that cook about 5 minutes. Just checking on my potatoes. And then from there, we're just about halfway through the meal. You know me, I like to start bringing out dishes, even when I'm home and I'm just making things for you guys. I always try to take out a pretty plate or set up a plate because I want Lily and Isabel, just like you guys did when you all were small, to get used to handling china dishes or whatever. My great-granddaughter is 3 years old, but we give her our fine china because we want her to be able to handle it and know what to do with it, so we don't have to worry about, oh my God, she's going to break it. So I just started them early. Now I'm working on my great-grandkids. And yesterday I was telling you that I had made a little French cobbler, and I made it with cherries and apples with Lily in mine, and this is what it looks like in a little ramekin. So I made this yesterday, Justin. I had a few left over, and what I did was when I made the crust, I put cream cheese in the crust with pecans. So to make the crust a little bit more crunchier. And you know that I like to take my, whatever I'm using, cherries, apple, or whatever, I put them with vanilla and sugar and cook them down. So, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to visit my granddaughter for a week, and when I do, she's not going to cook that whole week. I will be there to cook for them. And I know my grandson-in-law will be glad to see me because then he gets to get all his favorite dishes. So now, Moxie, like I have no oil, I have no water in the cabbage. I'm just using the juice from the bacon and the onions. And if you can see it here, baby, it really doesn't need any juice because it had enough. And because I put the lid on it, it actually sweated the cabbage. So now what I'm going to do, instead of, you know, we cook with a pinch of this or dash of that. We really don't measure. So I'm just going to maybe equal to maybe a half a teaspoon of the garlic salt. I'm a little bit more heavier with the Lawry's, maybe a teaspoon, and then the little roasted garlic in to keep it from being too salty. And then of course black pepper. And black pepper always will balance it out. So now I'm just going to mix that. Now I have my seasoning in, and I'm going to mix it, and I'm going to turn the fire down a little bit. And like I tell you all the time, start with your heat up high, and then as you get it cooking, you can always turn it down and let it kind of simmer. And I don't know whether you guys can see this or not, but take a look. You can see the bacon all through it, as well as the green of the cabbage. And you want your cabbage to get done, but you don't want your cabbage to be overcooked. So now, a couple of more stirs. We're going to put the top back on here for a few minutes. I reduced the heat on the cabbage and just kind of let it cook down. So what I've done now, I have my cabbage cooking. I have the water in case I need it, but I can tell you already, I know I won't need any water in my cabbage today because it really cooked down really well. And I'm just kind of putting everything away. When I come down, I'm going to make some of these for Lily, and I'm also going to make, I love to make macaroni and cheese, baked macaroni and cheese in these ramekins. Then we can put them away because that's one of Lily's favorite meals. So she has her own macaroni and cheeses. So I'm going to be doing that very soon as well. So now we're just going to kind of move a few things around here and just start loading up the dishwasher. As Madia know, I use my dishwasher all the time because my mother and my grandmother, and even I taught her mother, and now Madia with her own house, that the human hand cannot withstand enough hot water to kill all the germs and everything on your food. So that's why I go ahead and use my dishwasher. I know some people like to wash the dishes themselves, but for me, I just like the dishwasher. I can put it on as high heat as I like, and I don't have to worry about it. And we all in this family, we clean as we go, because the last thing I want to do is cook a big, huge meal, and now I have to be in the kitchen cleaning, and I don't want my grandchildren or whoever to have kitchen duty once we get through eating. Well, that's always Madia's job. She's assigning her siblings. Hi, little mama. And there's my little baby. That's my little princess. That's Isabel. Hi, darling. Hi. She said, I hear Gigi's voice, but I don't know where she is. Hi, Lily. Where's my Lily? Hi, Punky.
She's talking to Sissy.
Oh, wow. You're playing with your sissy. That's a big sister. Oh, that's a sweet little big sister. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have everything going. We have everything pretty much ready. We're going to go back again. I'm just going to get a new spoon. Oh, yes. The cabbage is done. Some people like it a little bit cooked than this. The cabbage is done. And I am just going to taste just a little bit just to see. And I'm going to cut it down even more. Perfect. Perfect. Oh my goodness. It is so ready. So now, what we're going to do is just check our potatoes. They are now already has melted down. As you can see, the potatoes are done. And we're going to move them over to the side here. And ladies and gentlemen, I showed you the process of doing the pork chops. And what you would do at this point would be just to turn them over. But earlier, before we started, I actually prepared the same pork chops, and this is what they look like. And now you have oven fried pork chops. And that is the finished product. You see, Amadia? I wish. So I'm going to go ahead now and just fix your granddad a plate so he can go ahead and eat. And I know he wish you would. Yes, and I know he wish you was joining him. Of course, that's his favorite oldest granddaughter.
It is. She is.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, her cousins will be very upset. We have one that BMI that she's like, well, I'm granddaddy's favorite as well. So here we go. So yes, you're the favorite oldest and the firstborn girl. So there we go. We have that. And we're going to get a little bit of these potatoes. Oh, man. With that sour cream on them. And onions. And then we're going to take one of our pork chops. And we're just going to put it on the plate. And there you have it, folks. Oven fried pork chops, cabbage with bacon, and you have creamy potatoes, red potatoes with sour cream and cheese. And that's the finished product. And as you can see, Maria, the plate is ready. And we're waiting on you, baby. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for meeting my granddaughter, my great-granddaughters. Please keep liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your comments. Please keep subscribing. Please tell a friend. Tell them to come and join the family. And Lily, where are you, baby?
Lily, you want to say bye? Say bye-bye.
Say bye, world. Thank you for sharing. Bye, Isabel. Aww, she did her little hand wave. Thank you so much. Tune in again. We'll have a lot of recipes coming. Remember, unwind with Gigi. Drink a glass of wine for me. Have a great day. This is Gigi. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye now.